Hello, welcome to another edition of XFeed. My name is the Shiller, or Steve, or I was going to just randomly rip off a bunch of other names, but I guess that is weird and has absolutely zero value to anything. Anyway, welcome to another day, another Monday, another week, another session of NFT, Web3, and news, all of that fun stuff. So off the rip, I want to talk about communication. Because in Web3, I don't know if you've been out there, but everybody always says, these teams are bad at communication. Why isn't these things made clear? And part of that, I think, is because of the fact, well, they just simply can't tell you, for one thing. And then number two, I think people just generally suck at communication. Now, you might say, all right, Shell, hold on a second. Are we going to get into a little bit of fun? Absolutely. But let's try to give an authentic story, will you? Okay, so first off, Krispy Kreme. There was this person that I know, and they posted about how their kid was raising funds for hockey. You know, dozen Krispy Kreme donuts for $15. I say, all right, give me 2 boxes, $30 Canadian. Would love to help out a little wee fella play some hockey. So then they say, well, I can leave it out on my porch, or if you want to meet me later at this grocery store, we'll have it for sale. And I'm like, you know what? I'm free right now. I can come out, pick up the Krispy Kreme off your porch. I have to assume that they're referencing that they're, you know, working at home, off for the day, whatever it may be. And then they say, oh, well, I could leave it out on the porch, but it'd have to be tomorrow. And I'm like, why didn't you just tell me that off the rip? You know what I'm saying? So that's communication problem number one. And then over on League of Legends last night, trying to play with a couple of the fellas, and one guy says, hey, is anybody playing tonight? And I'm like, sure, let me know when. And they respond, I can't play late. Okay, so are you referencing that you're available right now? Or am I just supposed to assume like we're continually doing that nonstop? So not only did they end up playing super, super late, I had to take the lead and say, I'm available right now for 2 to 3 games if you would like to play. And also, you get an F grade on our communications class. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Third Kingdom. So we've been playing. Apparently, there's going to be a reset on things. Everybody's still grinding it out. The game seems like it's working at an okay fashion right now. If you're not sure what the hell the Third Kingdom is, this is a game that potentially is going to bring different collections in the NFT space together. You can see these different worlds. One of them is a Doodles one. There is one for Deadfellas. There's a couple ones for Fluff, Pudgy Penguin, Icy North. And then we got some of the collections right there. So my strategy with the Third Kingdom, and you guys got to tell me if I'm wrong, because I've been told that this might not be the strategy, okay? And so what I've been doing is, you know, I could even bring it up. I've been building out the different plots, and I have been only doing one specific resource, okay? And then once I get that resource, I delete the entire thing, start another one, but I always have 2 buildings trying to up capacity, because if you're away for a few hours, if you're sleeping, whatever, you don't want to have any downtime, so I'm continually running that. Now, I don't know if it's actually better to have a multitude of different pieces that are available claiming the resources. If my strategy is hot dog wash, I'm not entirely sure. But right now, this is the ooze. You can't see in the bottom left corner, but I have enough for gold. I have about 12,000 ooze right now, and I'm not building. Why am I not building? I guess a half an hour has passed. Would you look at that? So let's start this one up again. And it's interesting because there's so many different like little facets about it. But if you like strategy simulation games, if you want to try something that is free to play, it might be something for you. So if you guys have any strategies with TTK, let me know, and we will put them to work. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled broadcast. Bored Ape, NFT creator Yuga Labs, joins Adidas, who had dignity to its Dookie Dash game. I don't know what they mean by dignity here, but either way. It's funny looking at these things, though, because I think we have an opportunity for a lot of brands that don't have a way to connect with people, right? Like, let's hypothetically say that you are not really into sports or fitness. How are you going to connect to Adidas? Well, what if you play some of these damn crypto games out there and all of a sudden Adidas is your go-to clothing brand? All these different people want to sell things, and if there's bigger names that are wanting to come in, have products that are worth it. I mean, Adidas has been in the Web3 space massively, but it is very cool to see nonetheless that the Dookie Dash game is getting a ton of different collabs. Good morning, good morning. What's your prestige level thus far? I am on my 2nd prestige, or prestiged. Yeah, a prestige twice, I think. Yes. So we're on the third one. I'm still like 4 resources away. I'm going to assume it's going to reset before I get to the third, but I have heard some of the bigger players out there, man, they got some crazy energy. They got some crazy prestige levels starting. Unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. So talking a little bit about the central bank digital currencies. This is an article that says Canada's CBDC departure risks Web3 interoperable future. Okay. We highlighted the other day where there was this notion from Canada that was coming out saying, hey, we're not doing the CBDC. But it's been swirling around the entire world. Many of the world's central banks are years into developing central bank digital currencies. Per the Bank of International Settlements, 94% of the world's central banks are actively working on a CBDC. 94%. That is insane. Well, 19 of the G20 nations were in advanced stages of CBDC development prior to this month. And then found another article here from CoinDesk that says, but for all the countries exploring a CBDC, only 3 have fully implemented one: the Bahamas, Nigeria, and Jamaica. So while CBDCs might be the current trend, they're not exactly becoming global reality. Very good point. And I think for a while, we were very concerned of, oh my goodness, if CBDCs come out, does this completely kill crypto? But I think the notion over the past few months has wildly changed in favor of crypto adoption, just period. Now, we've talked about nostalgia here and there, and I've referenced that I play old school RuneScape. Do I have an immense amount of fun playing it? I don't know. You kind of grinding out these different skills, but it's always like hidden nostalgia. And I think that that's one of the only reasons that I end up playing it. And it was funny seeing this article from The Block that came out 3 days ago saying MMORPG MapleStory's Web3 version wants to leverage nostalgia to draw players. And then we have the Flappy Bird game that's going on Telegram, a little bit different. But what kind of IP is going to get resurrected that maybe is slowed down? Maybe it'll end up getting completely acquired. You never know. I mean, not that Blizzard wants to sell World of Warcraft or anything, but can you imagine if that becomes adopted or purchased by one of the big players within the crypto space? That'd be wild. Again, not going to happen in that specific sense, but there's going to be games you'll be like, damn, I'm kind of interested in that now, if it goes on Web3 rails. Back in December of 2021, the highest offer for a Mega Mutant Serum, which there was a drop for everybody that was holding Bored Apes, where you either got an M1 serum, which gave you kind of the basic the mutant variant. If you were to have used this serum in M2, which gave you the rarer variation that's slightly different than the M1. And then there were, I think, about 8 Mega Mutant serums. A lot of them ended up getting used right away, but for the ones that were not revealed, people were willing to pay an absolute fortune for it. Was it for status? Was it for flex? Was it for the belief in digital assets so strongly at the time, kind of like the Beeple purchase, if you remember, for, you know, an insane amount of millions way back in the day before any of this stuff happened. Who knows, but kind of crazy to think about. $3.3 million if you just happen to buy an NFT for $250, hold it, and get lucky enough to get one of these specific Mega Mutant serums. Insane to really think about. Insane, insane. Tomorrow, if you're enjoying these streams and you want something a little bit different, we do talk about RWAs. This time it's in the space with Tradable. They're doing a marketplace where they're doing Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and that's going to be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So I have retweeted it on my page if you guys are wanting to check that out, but I also... So there's this guy called the Magic Historian, which if anybody played Magic the Gathering, you might have come across some of his YouTube videos. He's growing a lot and it's awesome. And he is actually Canadian. I think he's from the Niagara region, but his whole thing is when he opens this thing, he's like, fine, owners of luxury cardboard rectangles. And it is the perfect description of just card collecting in general. So thought that'd be funny to trade with you guys or share with you guys. And it is tradable. This is a site that's kind of new. So again, you're not going to find anything if you go to their site, but we're going to kind of dive into that tomorrow. I want to get all the goods. Gorilla, the many creators and community leaders I've spoken with recently are extremely unhappy with the state of NFT collabs, but everyone is too scared to speak out in fear of losing access to being able to provide value for their community. Now, I'm assuming this is regarding some kind of specific airdrop, maybe not main collections, side things, and they say, hey, we're partnering together. And we still kind of have questions about it, right? Like this is an ever-ending cycle that feels like it's kind of beating the dead horse type deal, Where, yeah, all right, there's been a lot of collabs that haven't done anything, but what is this in reference to? Do we still have problems wildly within the crypto and NFT sector? How do you open that up more? And I'm surprised also at the same time, how come there's not anything that works on only partnerships for everybody in terms of interoperability? Is it just because that's impossible to do and you need to talk with individuals and have certain background access to create something together, right? If it's clothing, if it's in-game interoperability, is that even possible to have some sort of a middleman to help facilitate this thing? But it's wild just the amount of conversations, and this is something within the podcast, if you guys listen to, that's going to be coming out this week, where the question that I asked Piyush, he was going on and on about how like most collabs are BS, where some people are saying we're partnered with Chainlink when that's not actually the case. They're just simply paying Chainlink, but they're advertising it as a partner. And then someone sees Chainlink and they say that's legit, when it could be legit, but it's not necessarily the same as when you're paying for a partnership, which, I mean, there's been a lot of concerns within the whole space of, hey, these brands are collabing, who's paying who's getting the beneficiary, what's going on. Azuki, the status, you get to rack up points if you've gotten emblems. So these kind of look like, I don't even know what you call them, different symbols. Whoa, that's way too loud. And this one you get plus 100 for owning an elemental, which is one of their NFT collections. And I'm just surprised we don't see more across the space for these. Obviously, for future scores, if you're a future score, if you're a part of that, if you hold different feature verse NFTs, you get added to your score. Izuki, they have something. Cool Score does have some kind of variant, but I'm not educated enough to talk about it. But Doodles with their Space Miles, a lot of different collections, a lot of different point system, with also not really sure what they're going to do. But Azuki, they have the anime chain. They're supposed to be doing something more. They launching a token. Is this how they kind of say, hey, if you have a certain amount of points, you are going to get a certain amount of coins, and that's typically how it works. Crazy news out of China. If you haven't seen, they give a huge stimulus. Everything is absolutely flying. I guess their futures market for the stock market got halted last night because of the volatility to the upside. If you look at this, you can just see just absolutely flying. So when they talk about October, I think they truly, truly meant it. IGN making a post, and yeah, see you from Animoca Brands commenting on it, but from IGN initially, California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill into law that will force storefronts to admit that you don't actually own your digitally purchased films, games, and TV shows. You're just licensing them. Yo, Cuffed, what's going on? And this is huge, because I've seen arguments that are people behind the scenes saying, well, you're just renting the skin. You're never going to own it. And they commented that to me one day, and I was like, okay, like, sure. And if I get banned, I'm not going to get that back. How often can you like return anything that you buy from a store? I mean, okay, sure, Walmart, certain places will take whatever. But in the whole digital aspect, it's really kind of getting flipped on its head, where if that's in your face, if you don't own this, does that change the narrative? Does that change the perspective at all? I don't think so. But the fact that that's getting pushed, I wonder what the backlash, the acceptance, the just, timing is everything. 2 years ago, imagine this coming out. I feel people would have a completely different view. But things have settled down. Technology's advanced. And perspectives have changed. But yet, CEO commented on it, saying an important step for people to realize they don't actually own most of what they purchase digitally online. NFTs and Web3 changed that, conferring to their users true digital ownership of their digital items. So again, just awesome that Yat is out there and being vocal. Swamp Gaming, Dookie Dash Cup is coming up. Swamp Gaming is, I think, like a Web2 gaming team that decided to go Web3. They have a decent amount of rather large influencers that are part of it. I think they won one of the AIPs that they've put out on ApeCoin, and now I guess they're just going to be a big part of it. So cool to see. But also cool to see is Neo Tokyo doing something similar. Saying, watch out for our Neo Tokyo Plays account, which the description of this is just gaming division of Neo Tokyo. So we have the Swamp Gaming, which is doing stuff for Yuga. We have Neo Tokyo that's going to be doing stuff for Neo Tokyo. We have other guilds and groups out there for a multitude of different games, but also we're going to have a lot that are specific niches to whatever they are following. And I wonder, is this just highlighting different games that they plan to do? Is this going to be an entire new esports org? For anybody that's watched the stream for a while, I've talked a lot about how I absolutely love esports as a whole, but they've struggled a lot. Call of Duty, apparently players are having to take pay cuts. In League of Legends, they're literally paying teams to leave the league because they know it's not super profitable. If you watch Summoning an Insight with Thorn or Monte Cristo, if you happen to know those individuals, they talk about the team struggling financially a ton, all the time. And I've been a huge proponent of, I think blockchain gaming could do some wild things with it. We have airdrops all the time. We have a lot of attention. You can actually support these teams without just, hey, we're buying a jersey. People appreciate digital assets more so within this realm. And also, for the sake of some of these bigger players out there, like, I mean, Riot Games, which are the creators of League of Legends, they sold these emotes. So in a game, you can like flash an emote, and some of these had like the team names associated with it. Like one of them looked like a pudgy penguin, but it was one of the teams in Europe. And teams got like 25 cents per purchase if somebody went out and purchased the $2 emote. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. I think there's a huge opportunity. I'm very excited to see. Cuffed, but if I went to a Gucci store and bought some clothes and then did something stupid and got banned from that Gucci store, I can still go to another Gucci store and resell the assets. That's a phenomenal point. You're absolutely right. So this is something that anybody who is on the verge of thinking about wanting to do content, anybody that is doing content out there, if you're somebody who does spaces, this is for you. And maybe save this and clip it, pass it along to your friend. Other Space FM. This was a X Spaces that was started from people that were just passionate about what was going on with Yuga and Bored Ape Yacht Club. And Other Side, this is why we're seeing several Other Space and Other Page, because it was all in reference to what Yuga Labs was building with Other Side. But it was announced that Other Space FM, which was just the spaces, is now officially a part of Other Page HQ, which Other Page, I think, has got some decent funding. They're working on some cool things. I've talked with Nana before. Absolute gem of a human being. But these are the sort of opportunities where you started a space, now you're acquired by somebody, you're probably getting paid for it. Now think about how many different ecosystems there's going to be out there and how many people are out there covering it. And okay, for different ecosystems, you'll have 2, 3, maybe 4 plus. But some, you'll argue, are way more professional than others. Some you think are more entertaining. Some are off the rails, and you're like, all right, well, that show might be a little bit hard to sponsor depending on the people that are out doing it. But the opportunities are going to be in abundance, especially for writing. I think there's a lot that go out there and are on the timeline doing these spaces. I mean, I'm doing live streams, but apart from like one-off tweets, I don't know how many people are out there writing articles. I do see a lot where we're having kind of lengthier breakdowns of insights, but I think a hard article where it can get procced a lot more on Google searches, Yahoo searches, whatever search engine you use. I think it's a very, very underrated area and something to be paying attention to if you're into the content realm. Okay, so we've been highlighting the Ripple stablecoin. They just keep doing more and more. I think this is just like a beta test. I don't think it's actually out there, but everybody's going completely crazy because this tracker has just been printing 50,000, 50,000, 480,000, 120,000 Ripple USD, 200,000 Ripple USD. People going crazy. We'll have to wait and see, but that on top of the China stock market absolutely mooning to the point that they have to halt futures. October, baby. True. And speaking of Other Side, they had their Project Dragon playtest. I guess this time they wanted to go for a Titanfall type feel. So they had a couple of players that had to or were able to play as a Titan. I'm assuming with more health overall. Kind of cool. Again, I was very, very critical of the original Project Dragon. It's gotten better, but I do still not like that it's just super dark. It's not, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't have kind of like that positive vibe to it. And even for some of the playtests, like it was cool going through the swamp and whatnot, but I'm just surprised that it's like, you feel like you're depressed playing the game because it's like, why are we always doing these nighttime variants? Have a little bit of daylight, please, and thank you. So I did a little bit of a throwback earlier in the stream to the Mega Mutant Serums for 3 million-ish, right, at the time, which is crazy. Or no, I don't even remember. It was like 880 ETH, which is a lot. But back in 2021, Xcopy, one of them sold for 3.8 million, basically 4 million plus Canadian, but 3.8 million USD. We've seen a lot of Xcopy continuing to sell as of lately. We've been highlighting on the stream, and just kind of a throwback to some of the crazier sales. We're getting close, but when was the last time we really saw those big CryptoPunk sweeps? Think about 2-3 weeks ago, we were highlighting several a day, it felt like. And then it got kind of quiet. So are there no buyers? Are there no sellers? What's the situation? It's not NFTs as a whole. A lot of sales in the upper echelon. One of the 3D glasses punks, and shout out to Stats for highlighting this. 47 ETH, a leopard grayskin pengu, which I didn't even know this was a trait on the Penguins, but that one went for 18.23 ETH. Water Hair Izuki 16 ETH, and an ape MFer going for 5 ETH. Still crazy that MFer is just a whole lot about a culture play, and still finding some massive bids. And final thing that I'm wanting to leave you with, Kieran Warwick from Illuvium saying, just wait for the next 6 months. You'll see. I felt like we've had a lot of conversations about wait and see for this year as a whole. I think we're starting to get there. We've seen a lot of really good stats, good adoption, good awareness, but it still felt like we haven't really had the big huzzah that we thought was going to happen across Web3 gaming. Getting there, but hasn't happened yet. We'll see if the next week, as we are now approaching October, well, I guess it's tomorrow, October, is it going to be right? Is it going to be wrong? Are we going to be saying wag me or not going to make it? Thank you guys so much for coming on through. Appreciate you watching. Tijo's Cuffed. And let me know if you're watching afterwards in the comments on X or on the YouTube video, what's your strategy for TTK? What have you found that's worked good? I'm curious. I haven't seen too much out there. I think everybody's trying to keep a little bit tight-lipped because they want to win